With a conversation on State of the Nation right here on Morning Express. In case you're joining us now, welcome aboard, and I'll just start first of all by letting you know who we have on the panel. We have the Member of Parliament for Kiminini, and that is Honorable Chris Wamalwa. We also have nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura as part of our panel. Let me start by reading some of the comments that are coming through, and I have one here from one Geoffrey Kamai who says, "We believe a win by numbers. Those who didn't follow processes should be disciplined directly by their employers. Then, if taken to court, judges deal with them as individuals." Okay, that's basically coming through. Let me see if I can see another few more tweets. We have Roy Odhiambo who says, "Digital Jubilee government wants to go manual. That's a laughing LOL. Being a Thursday, it is." Then there's also Isaac Kirui who says Patrick Amimo is advancing the NASA thinking. We have Robin Bosire who says whatever Jubilee are trying to amend is poisonous to our nation. Kenya is bigger than their interests. Now, the question that I had put before you, gentlemen, and Honorable Mwaura, you are just on the finishing end of it, was in regards to the fact that we have put institutions to ensure that we have credible, we have verifiable, we have institutions that are able to arbitrate when there is need for that. However, these same institutions that are supposed to be independent, we find are constantly under attack by politicians. You are finishing on that, then I'll come to Honorable Chris Wamalwa.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, Mike, and to be very honest...
Do you agree with me that they are constantly being attacked?
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
I agree depending on what kind of move they make, and let me just also address them and say that they'll never please everybody. Yeah, because they are doomed if they do it, and the same way if they don't. We actually even put a caution when we were making these laws that you don't have at least if you have served in a political position for the last 5 years, you may not be a commissioner. And
so 10 years.
We have it's 5, and we have we actually, it's like the fourth arm of government. You know, Chapter 15 commissions and independent officers, it's like the fourth arm of government. Because then we realize that then you need to ensure that there's also who checks the judiciary, for example.
Correct.
But then this is falling apart. It's unfortunate. Okay, of course, we cannot say we've really implemented our constitution for the longest. But some of these commissions also are becoming moribund. They are not serving the purpose with which they were in. And actually, they had started very well. I remember attending so many meetings, Mike, about constitutional commissions. In fact, I was even given the honor to address some of them there, and they even had their own chairman of the commissions and whatever. But we are not even seeing the same commissions defending their members when they are attacked from the political class. That is something I would want to ask them to do. Some of them, you know, you need just to also say, IBC, we don't see that. But we also are seeing sometimes the leaders of these commissions taking strategic pronouncements as to advance certain political causes, and that's quite unfortunate.
Okay. Honorable Chris Wamalwa, institutions.
Yeah, thank you.
Politicians keep attacking them.
Thank you very much. I think from our NASA side, we've not interfered with the independence. What we've been raising concerns. But we've seen from the Jubilees...
Even when it comes to the Mandamano, which are going to...
Yeah, Mandamanos...
Isaac has... They are constitutional, right?
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely.
But we had Isaac Hassan and his team thrown out. Now we have Chiloba, who is basically the target for NASA.
I want to take you to Article 37 of the Constitution, which says every Kenyan citizen has right to demonstrate, has the right to picket. That is within the law. So when NASA is picketing, I don't think it's anything unconstitutional because they are raising issues of concern and which are critical. For instance, if you talk about the Isaac Hassan issue, you heard about the issue of the Chicken Gate, all sorts of things. But and by the way, even the Jubilee side said they were not comfortable with Isaac Hassan. So it was something that was concerning people. So when we do picketing, does not mean we are interfering with the independence of the independent institutions. One thing we need to know about the sovereign power belongs to the people, and is also delegated to these institutions, just like even that independent bodies. So the issue is this. One time, we've had these issues of memos flying up and down. It is the responsibility of IBC as an independent body not to wait for the ruling of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, after declaring that the elections had marred with illegalities and irregularities, it was the responsibility of IBC, because it has its own internal mechanisms, to be able to see who are the people responsible for this. And for heaven's sake, we passed the Election Offences Act so that disciplinary action can be taken. But if the chairman wants to maybe discipline some people here or there, we've seen the Jubilee team. One time I had the deputy president giving direction that Chebukati should stop his memos. That is interference with the independence of that body.
But with the same breath, because the law cuts both ways. Do you want IEBC to be independent with their memos and how they deal internally?
Absolutely.
But then you want them to dismiss or to have Chiloba removed from office, yet not internally, but
now,
through
let me come to
mass
that.
action.
I was coming to that. Just give me a minute. I was going to come to that. You know, after the Supreme Court ruling that they should open up the servers, up to now, the servers have not been opened. That is the contempt of court. The head of operations in IBC is the CEO. The commissioners come at the policy level. In fact, for simplicity, we always say, this is commissioners like board of management and on the school management. Then the CEO is the principal. Who is Chiloba? So in terms of the operations, it is the backstops are the CEO. How did the account of Chebukati hacked or used by one Davis Chirchir? Davis Chirchir, who is the chief agent of Jubilee. So you ask yourself, if there was independence, how did this person get that accessibility? Was there a conspiracy? And these are the questions that NASA is raising, which are very genuine. When we go to the irreducible minimums, the irreducible minimums that we have, they are very reasonable. As a matter of fact, IBC itself, in their own internal evaluation, they had 40 irreducible minimums. And for example, the minimums we are looking at, there are things which are genuine, which were derived from the Supreme Court ruling. If you have some centers, pollings, for example, here in KTN, this is not a registered polling center, and you see the results are being accepted coming from KTN, which is unregistered. That is very wrong. Secondly, the security features from 34S are missing. They are not serialized. When you look at your ID number is serialized. This is to eliminate things of fraud, you know, to bring in transparency, to bring in accountability. If you bring 34S and is not serialized, does not have the security features, that tells you there's something fraudulent somewhere. And if the process is fraudulent, irrespective of the outcome is also fraudulent. So the process must be cleaned. And this is what NASA has been talking about. This is one of the reducible minimums, which our friends from the Jubilee side are agreeable. If somebody somewhere was responsible for these irregularities and illegalities, of course, irregularities and illegalities cannot be done on their own. There must be somebody who is responsible. And when you go to the Constitution, I think it's at Article 86 of the Constitution says that IBC shall put measures, structures, mechanisms in place to eliminate electoral malpractices. Absolutely.
Let me pause you right there because I want to take a call from Josephat in Tarbo. Good morning, Josephat, to your question or comment.
Good morning, my brother in the studio.
Yes, good morning.
Nataka niongee kwa Kiswahili.
Endelea.
Nataka kwanza kuambia ndugu yangu Mwaura atulie. Tulia tu Mwaura, umekuwa katika hii saidi nyingine ndio ilikupeleka katika siasa, wakakafundisha juu ya siasa. Tulia. Kitu cha kwanza nataka kusema. Leo hii serikali yetu imetuambia kwa mashule, kwa kupiga kura, kwa kila kitu tumeenda katika digital. Leo hii wanatuambia turudi analog. Hiyo kitu naomba Mwaura aelezee Wakenya vizuri. Tuelekeza nchi yetu wapi kama tunasema tunaenda hivi. Leo watoto wetu wachekechea, leo watoto wetu kila mahali wanasema tunataka kuelekea katika hali ya dijitali. Leo kina Mwaura wanapeleka Wakenya wapi? Swali la pili. Leo hii Jubilee inasema kuwa NASA huwa wanatusi wengine. Leo hii wanasema judiciary must go, Maraga tutamuona kando, sijui nani tutamuona kando. Je, makosa mawili yataweza kusuluhisha kweli? Kitu kingine, Tafadhali Mwaura, niko kwako tu. Mwaura, sisi tulikaa tukapiga mlolongo, tukapiga kura ya nesa katiba yetu ya Kenya. Leo hii Mwaura mnataka kutumia tyranny of numbers kuchafua katiba ya Mkenya. Je, heshima yako wewe Mwaura na hao viongozi wengine wote wa serikali yetu yenye tunapenda, mwelekeza wa Kenya watukufu wapi? Nikimaliza, tafadhali viongozi kama Mwaura, yule tunasema mseme inasema muungwana hawe ni kitendo mara mingi, asiwe ni wa kuonyesha maneno ambayo si yale mazuri. Good day Mwaura. Mtangazaji, asante. Hata ingawa Mwaura amesema wewe unalemea kwingine, na kushukuru kwa sababu unasimama katikati. Thank you so much.
Asante sana Josephat kutoka Turbo. We'll take another call. Good morning and thank you for calling to your comment or question.
Mimi ni Aida Ndegeo.
Sorry?
Sasa mimi ningependa kuenda tu mahali ambapo Mwaura ako.
Haya, naonekana leo ni siku ya Mwaura.
Mwaura ni mtoto wetu, walikuwa na babu na mwamba. Wakati walikuwa black men, kwa wakati walikuwa wanapiga makaratasi.
Men in black.
Black men, wakawa wanapiga makaratasi wakasema wakataka demokrasia katika chama cha ODM. Hao kumbe walikuwa wakasema hii ni mradi wa Jubilee. Na sasa saa hii Mwaura ameonekana alikuswa katika chama cha ODM, akachakuliwa kwa mbunge mteule, amerudi kupiga baba yake na kusema maneno mengine. Tukirudi kwa mambo ya katiba wakati imeweka kitu independent, inamaanisha ya kwamba ufanya haki. Lakini ichakuweka hapo ubadilisha mambo yako. Wakati mbunge anachakuliwa kupeleka kwa katika bunge, wanachakuliwa kwa ajili ya kuwakilisha wa Kenya, si kwenda kubadilisha katiba kwa ajili ya kufurahisha hao. Napenda Chris huyo amekuwa na msimamo kuanzia kwa bunge mahali popote. Na hata huyo akisimama mahali popote watu umsikiza. Tunasema hii Mwaura na upande wa Jubilee wafanye mambo kulingana na sheria na katiba. Tukikuja katika jaji mkuu hakuwa anafanya uamuzi kwa ajili ya kupendelea chama fulani. Alikuwa anasema mfuate sheria. Licha ya kwamba mkienda mfanye uchaguzi ambao hutafuata sheria na katiba yetu, hakika atautubilia mbali. Mwaura waelewe ya kwamba sheria haipendelee mtu wowote, inalinda watu wa Kenya. Hata wakati tulikuwa nataka digital hapa KTN, mkaenda mahakamani kusema ngoja watu wajajipanga kwa ajili ya digitali. Hawa wakina ni Matiang'i alisema lazima hiyo digitali ikuje. Wakati digitali imekuja, mmejikakamua katika vyombo vya habari mmelete. Sasa hawa ndio wanarudi huko kwa analog. Kumaanisha wamekosa mwelekeo na wamekosa njia kuongoza wa Kenya. Mungu awabariki sana ndugu yangu.
Asante sana Isaac kwa kutupigia simu. Inaonekana ya kwamba Mwaura leo wewe ndio you're on the hot seat. But just to go back to the conversation and maybe some of the questions raised, and Josephat has mentioned the analog, which is, I'm sure, the amendments that Jubilee is seeking, and the question he's asking is, why is Jubilee taking us back to analog? Number two is he mentioned that two wrongs don't make a right. The fact that NASA is attacking or has issues with IEBC does not mean that Jubilee should attack the judiciary. Then third is the use of tyranny of numbers. Maybe your comments to reply to Josephat in Turbo.
I think, when you are speaking the truth, it irks people. And those are clearly NASA supporters, so they have their right to express themselves.
Well, they didn't mention their NASA supporters.
Of course, you can tell from their opinion, really, Mike. I mean, we are all Kenyans. So we understand how, certain opinions are made. And of course, this station has also been accused of being leaning to NASA. So you can even see the calls that are being taken are clearly, aimed at...
No, I will refute that because
no, it's my opinion.
It's your opinion,
it's my opinion.
I will make the record straight that the calls we are not picking are not selected from a NASA. We simply pick the calls that come through.
Thank you for saying that, but then, of course, I still insist that is a hidden bias, of course, and it's very evident. But I want to say this. The issue about independence of institutions. And you asked that question to my friend Mwalimu Chris Wamalwa, and he also seemed to tell us about other things, now that he says that we need to answer questions the right way. I want to say that individuals who are leading commissions must not be swayed by public opinion. Of course, we don't live in a vacuum. We live in a situation where, Mike, people are influenced by what we discuss in the media. The social media is becoming increasingly powerful. But I think we need to ensure a situation where the integrity and the character of the people that we put into office is not in doubt. And nowadays, you cannot hide anything. So even if you send a letter, somebody will screenshot it, shoot it, and the next time it will be all over the social media. We as a country must ensure that we agree to the laws of this country. But those laws are actually also not made in a vacuum. They are made because of certain persuasions. In fact, it is on record that some of the best constitutions, in fact, constitutions are made in times of war. So for us to come to national television and say that there is a certain time that is right because it doesn't favor you politically, I mean, this is a political contest. And what we hear are being called irreducible minimums, to me, they are called reducible maximums, you know, made out of a maxim that when you hear Raila Odinga saying that it is subverting the will of the people, it's not the will of the people, it is his own will. But as long as Raila Odinga is not declared the president, then nothing is right. And Mike, Chris Wamalo here is telling us about the hacking of the server. These are the people who brought us some SQL logs. When you come and tell us that David Chichuri was in the server, how did you know that? Did you hack the server yourself? You cannot come here and lie to Kenyans to advance propaganda. You know, give us the evidence. The IBC complied with the court order, and Joe Kidogo is on record on that. So don't, you know, you keep on repeating, and I won't repeat again, you keep on repeating the lies time and again, so that it becomes the truth. There is nowhere you can prove that so and so went there. You don't. In fact, all those things, the court actually said you cannot even disclose the software of that server. So just tell us, because I know you had hired people from Ghana and other places to hack, and they were chased out. And I'm aware that even now you are still hiring other people from Canada to still hack the system. You did not succeed. You went to court. Your people, the Maraga, agreed with you. Now you want to tell us we should continue doubting public institutions because of what you are saying. How comes, Mike, that the only people who seem to be supposedly saying the truth are what we hear from these people with their perennial press conferences? And you want us to sit pretty and agree? I think I beg to differ.
All right. Honorable Chris Wamalo, your response to that before we look at some of the issues that NASA has brought forward and also Jubilee.
I think from the calls that you are picking, it's my assumption they were being picked through random sampling. And when we were discussing here with my friend, nominated Senator Maura, when the gentleman called from Tarbo, he was smiling because Tarbo was in Gishu, and that is a purported stronghold for the Jubilee. Little did he know that whatever the content is going to be, contrary to what he's saying. And this is a clear demonstration that Kenyans are not stupid. Kenyans cannot be taken for granted. Jubilee, when came to power in 2013, they came on a platform of digital. Those are analog, them they're digital. How comes? Why the change of heart now? They're taking us back to the old days. It is because of the hidden agenda they have, because of their own selfish interests. And I'm happy from the look of things. Kenyans know about it. So their days are numbered.
Okay,
Siku za nyani kufa zikifika kila mtu nateleza. So the issue is this. As members of parliament, that is both the national, that's Jubilee. It's not Kenyans. The agenda, you know, that's a saying, that's a Swahili saying. Use your kutukana, that's a Swahili saying, which is allowed to be used. So the issue is this. If we have the interests of Kenya at heart, I'm calling upon my colleagues to drop those amendments. Those amendments to the Elections Act must be dropped. Otherwise, it might lead to chaos.
Okay, but Honorable Chris Wamalo, as much as help Kenyans understand, what would be wrong with if the electronic system fails, the ballot, when we go and vote, we vote manually. You tick on the box, put it in a box, and that remains your vote until it is transmitted, until they're tallied and put on Form 34A, Form 34B, and they end up at the National Tallying Center. What is wrong with us saying that if electronically there are malpractices, there is an issue of systems being hacked, Safaricom, OT, Morpho are all involved. Since the ballot boxes are sealed, they are by law supposed to be sealed for 3 years, we go back, count them manually in front of everybody. What is wrong with that?
Kenyans spend money on curricular reports, and I wish you had an opportunity to have looked at the curricular report. The curricular report is very clear. And one of the recommendations of the curricular report, because remember we had so many voter lists. You know, we had the black book, we had the green book, we had the white book. And these were as a result of the manual aspect of the voter register. And that's why it was agreed that the voter register has to be cleaned, computerized for that matter, so that you only have one list. And that's why in the committee of Kiraitu and Orengo, it was agreed that an international firm of repute, which has experience in matters of voter audit, must be selected for purposes of auditing the voter register. Because that was the result of all the chaos that were there before the curricula came in. And to our surprise, KPMG was given the job to do. KPMG, we do know very well, it is an international firm experienced in matters of financial audits, but not matters of voter register, whatever it is. And from our other side, we protested. And again, because they have the majority, the government, everything, they carried the day. Up to now, the voter register, it was not available for purposes of people to go and do the verifications. It was kept silent. So we cannot go back again to the manual aspect and you start seeing the issues of black book, green book coming back again. When it comes to voting, curricular report identified almost, I think, 1 million voters who do not exist. Somebody who died a long time ago comes back from the grave to vote and he goes back again. By bringing the electronic way of identification of biometrics, that was the only sure way of eliminating ghost voters or people who died or underage who come and vote and yet they are not the true voters. So if you bring in the aspect of the manual system of identification,
going back,
that one will not work.
Okay.
Will not be solving the problem.
The same curricular report you're quoting.
If I may finish.
Okay.
When it comes to transmission of votes, I remember during the Kivuitu time, I was still a young boy, and I used to be very keen on matters of elections. He said, what do I do? My returning officers have disappeared. I don't know where they are. Because the requirement was, you get those returns, then you bring them to the tallying center manually. But that was the challenge. You know, and again, when people were transporting the votes, others were being multiplied. Remember the famous Tharaka-Nithi? The votes that were in Tharaka-Nithi, they reached Thika, the additions, Kidurai, the additions. The time they reach Bomas, they have multiplied. So the issue of bringing the electronic transmission was to eliminate such malpractices. So we cannot go back again. We are not solving. We are going to get worse. Okay. That's why we are totally against the manual aspect. We must continue with the electronic system, but the issue of integrity, the issue of honesty, is something that is absolutely...
All right, now the same curricular report that you quote also requires that the IEBC is in place with their commissioners in place a certain time before the election.
2 years.
2 years before. Now, we only have 27 days to go. How do you see us resolving this? Because again, we're going against the same report that you're quoting.
Now, that report, it is true. He recommended 24 months, and Mheshimiwa Mwaura is totally correct when he say that. But now, looking at the circumstances, you know, when it comes to decision making, there's something called you do something called a cost-benefit analysis. But in this context, we're just looking at the illegalities and irregularities in IBC, and also in line with the Election Offences Act. Whoever was responsible for these irregularities must be punished. If at all the big problem was in ICT. You've seen the transmission, and this report of Chirchir entering in, it is something which was there. It was a report, which is then, if you go there, it's something official, Senator Mwaura. So, and that's why you're asking, How did Chirchir get access? How did he manage to enter the system and do almost, I don't know, 900 transactions?
9,000.
Absolutely 9,000. This was an official report which is there. It is not something that NASA is claiming from nowhere. It is not any more propaganda. So how did he get the accessibility? And yet, he's from the Jubilee side, and we do know very well that IBC is independent, unless they are working together in conspiracy. So these are the questions we're asking, and that's why we are saying the reducible minimums that we put across is for the benefit of having free, fair, and credible elections.
All right, we need to land this aircraft. We only have 6 minutes, and we need to somehow move and chart the way forward. Honorable Mwaura, there is a meeting today between IEBC, NASA, and Jubilee. From Jubilee's end, what is it that you would call your requirements for us to go to the elections and ensure credibility, verification, and credible elections?
I think, you see, when you have a commission, the people who execute the decisions of the commission are actually the staffers. And the Michael Kamau case actually ruled that the commission is actually the commissioners. So now, faced with the challenge of not being able to remove commissioners, our counterparts here would want to go for the small people within the commission. But as one caller said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Waswahili husema, kosa sio kutenda, kosa ni kurejelea.
Kurudia.
And kurejelea. And the question is, if you want to have people, if at all, for example, there are those so-called illegalities and irregularities, then it would have been good if we still had the commissioners of 2013, because we would have learned better. We learned from experience. And I also would want to imagine if the staffers who were brought on board, and now they know what to do better when and how. So when we talk about some of these issues, it's good to put them in context. And it's also good to say that, you know, my brother here is abusing the people of Githurai. Githurai people are very decent, and they know how to protest their rights, just like they did the other day.
People of Githurai.
You say the people of Thika and Githurai.
No,
you know,
when you reach a
yes,
place,
you know, when you reach
there,
who are the people who live there? So the people of Githurai, you must watch, and you must know who to really.
You know, Mwaura lost parliamentary seats through the people. People of Githurai rejected him.
The people of Githurai voted for me.
People of Githurai rejected him.
The people of Kiminini voted for you.
Gentlemen,
and I am happy that
Honorable Mwaura, kindly
the lower side.
Let's stick to the answer.
Can he also respect my space, because I have not interfered when he's speaking. So the people of Githurai, we value you, and you can hear the kind of talk that we get from this rather honorable member talking dishonorable terms here. What we want to say is that we did not have our own demands to the IEBC, because we believe in the independence of the commission. If there are any issues of contention, for sure they will be presented. But I don't think, Mike, and I want to say this categorically, that our brothers are interested in the elections. They are not. So they will keep on putting roadblocks. They tried so much until at least the courts got some sense almost at the end. In 2 days to the election, they were still in court, saying even if one BVR does not work, let me finish.
Because of time, because of time,
Yeah.
what I need to know from you, from Jubilee's end, what is it that you require as the way forward? What is the...
The point is, we have agreed to go to that meeting. The agenda was still in contention. It will be hard. Of course, we do not have our reducible maximums to stall the elections. We will still go ahead with the amendments on the floor of the House, because the power to legislate is in Parliament. And then we are believing that all factors put constant, we will have election on 26th of October, and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta will win with even a bigger margin.
All right. Honorable Chris Wamalwa, what is your expectation from the meeting today?
I have a lot of expectations, but one thing I want to say, you know, Honorable Mwaura is nominated. The people of Githurai rejected him. I want it to be very clear. So when he brings in the issue of Githurai, this is not a campaign forum. You'll go back to Githurai people after 5 years. If they seem you're deemed fit, they'll make their decisions. When it comes to the negotiations, the issue is this. As we go the negotiations, it should be a win-win. Okay? And what we are trying to say is, The irreducible minimums that we've put across on the table, they are reasonable.
And those, for you, those are not negotiable?
I say they are reasonable.
Okay.
But we have issues of practicability, you know? So they'll sit on the table, the both side. By the way, he's not aware that even the Jubilee side have their own irreducible minimums. And this was pointed out clearly. So when it comes to the principles of negotiation, you must go open-minded with a win-win situation. So once you sit around the table, Jubilee is here, and by the way, I want to salute IBC for this meeting. And NASA has been looking for this meeting like yesterday. So as they go and negotiate, I want to tell those who are negotiating that this country is looking at them. This country relies on whatever is going to come out of that. It is just like the same way we had the Orengo and the Kiraitu committee. This committee is very critical. It's the only committee that is going to bring hope to Kenyans. And as I said earlier, we must learn together, learn to live together as brothers, or we perish together as fools.
That is
and those
threat.
are the words.
Those are
I've
the
not
threats.
finished. Those are the words of.
That these people
those
want
are
to
the
force
words.
this country to get into
Honorable
chaos.
Maura, allow him
Can
to
you
finish.
listen?
Yes, but you see, he does not threaten Kenyans.
I'm not. That's a saying.
That is
That's
a
a
threat.
quote. I'm quoting.
Quoting where? Yourself. You're putting yourself.
Martin
All right.
Luther King Jr.
No, you cannot
No,
quote
no,
yourself here to
Martin
threaten
Luther King
Kenyans.
Jr.
That is totally unacceptable.
Martin Luther King Jr. said this, that we better learn to live together as brothers or we perish together as fools. Those are not my words. Those are the words. Go read more about Martin Luther King Jr. You'll see those famous quotes.
You cannot use the
I was
great
quoting.
leaders to threaten Kenyans.
I'm
I
not
think that is
threatening. Those
totally
are not my words.
unacceptable.
All right.
Those
And
are
Kenyans,
words.
we want peace and
Gentlemen,
we want
Honorable
elections.
Maura.
Those are the
Honorable
words of
Maura.
Martin
And
Luther
the
King
people of
Jr.
Kilindini should look
Not
at this-
mine.
this
Those
member
are
here
not
who is
words.
threatening other
Those are not
Kenyans.
my words.
The
Okay?
people of
Those are
Kilindini
not
should
my
be
words.
very
Yes, so
careful.
you're done. All right,
I'm
I
not
think
yet
we're
done.
out of time. It is now 8:30. Thank you, gentlemen. Honorable Chris Wamalwa and nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura. Basically, well, that's the state of the nation, and the conversation continues, and we shall also continue with it online. And what you don't get to see from home is that these two gentlemen actually walk out holding hands and shaking hands and laughing together. So it's not as, well, as bad as it may look in studio. But thank you very much for staying with us. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning. And we're looking forward to that meeting between IEBC, NASA, and Jubilee. And hopefully there should be white smoke coming out as we look for the way forward.
Thank you.